Hello and welcome back to the Stacey West YouTube channel, to what could potentially, hopefully not, but potentially be the final preview of the season. It'll definitely be the final preview of the regular season, as on Saturday, most people will know, most people can't wait. Most people are also very nervous and anxious looking ahead. We, of course, play Portsmouth at home on Saturday to potentially secure our place in the League One playoffs. One side who haven't secured their place in the League One playoffs because they didn't need them this year are Portsmouth. And to talk all things Pompey, I am joined by Hugh from the PO Forecast. Hugh, how are we doing, mate?
I'm good, thanks, Charlie. It's nice to be back on the Stacey West. It's been quite a few years now, us going back and forward with Gaz and me and yourself. And yeah, it's just good to be back and talking about Pompey under, for us anyway, a lot less pressure than usual.
Yeah, but it's a nice position to be in. I really wish we were in that position going into Saturday, but we are not afforded the same luxuries as you. And who knows? Hopefully, we can carry on this little back and forth next year as well. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. Look, we've alluded to it. Most people will know. I mean, let's be honest. If you're watching this, a League One Lincoln City preview looking ahead to Saturday, you already know Portsmouth are champions. Secured it just over a week yesterday, as from the time of recording this, wasn't it, at home at Fratton Park? I mean, let's just talk first of all about that night. Hugh, I mean, how special was that night celebrating that League One title?
Yeah, it was absolutely unreal, to be honest. It was quite a surreal experience, being at the back of the stand, you know, not playing that well, to be honest. Barnsley outplayed us for large spells of that game, and Collins makes some suspect sort of substitutions, tries to sort of lock it up a little bit, and I know he's under a lot of pressure there at Barnsley. We managed to get one back, and at that point, you know, for a penalty, Colby Bishop buries it, and at that point we're getting promoted. So we're thinking, all right, you know, go down. And I know some fans think differently, but we're piling down the stairs. I sit right at the back of the Fratton end, and we're getting down the stairs so we can rush on the pitch. We're thinking, and then with that last minute winner from Connor Shaughnessy from Molenbeek, and Shaughnessy at the back has got 4 headers from goals this season as well. He's been absolutely unreal for us. So it was quite a apt way for us to win the title. Then just cue celebrations. I'm just about sobered up. I'm not gonna lie. I was out. You know, we all piled out with the players. Everyone went to O'Neill's. We were all celebrating there, and from there it went on. We went to sort of a bar, sort of nightclub in Southsea, and all the players were there as well. I think we had to be forcibly removed, including the players and the fans, eventually at 2:30 a.m.
Well, it certainly sounded like some pretty good celebrations then, you know. And look, I think it's fair to say from an outside point of view, highly deserved. I mean, you guys have one of the best sides all season. I think it's been not just the way that you've been able to command some victories, but also how hard you've been to beat. And that's something I wanted to pick on, because I'm gonna just exclude Saturday for a minute, because Saturday was a little bit of a, you know, it was a little bit of a nothing game for you guys, wasn't it? And, you know, Wigan probably just wanted to come and potentially spoil some celebrations, not that you really cared. So ignoring that, before then, you'd lost 4 games all season. I mean, that in itself is outstanding. Is it fair to say that that's one of, if not the biggest reason that you've become champions, is the fact that you've just not lost as many? You've drawn a good few, sure, but that lack of losing must have put you in a great stead all year.
Yeah, Mousinho finds a way to get points out of games, even if we're not playing at our best. And I think that's what you need to go up this season. You know, it's all right, Bolton fans talking about how they're the technically best team in the league, but if you don't pick up points doing it, then it doesn't really matter, does it, in this division? So I think what we're quite good at as well is playing a lot of the ball in the opposition half. So we're not necessarily going to be playing with the ball, holding on to possession just for possession's sake as a team. We get the ball into the final third. I remember talking about this a few weeks back, and I think we had one of the highest field tilt in the league. So for non-stato people, it just means that we're playing the ball the most in the opposition's final third of other teams in the league. So we're defensively very solid. We've got a good platform. We're sort of hard to pass through, but we're not we don't stick to the same system. We're not rigid, and Mousinho will change tactics and change the way we play against oppositions if needed.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is it. It really looks like you've kind of come into this season really with this kind of pragmatic game by game approach, like you say, not being scared to make changes during the match, which is obviously a massive sort of huge for you. And like I think it's really helped with your consistency, hasn't it? I mean, I remember there was that wobble obviously around Christmas, just after Christmas, and history probably made you feel that wobble a lot more and have a lot more fear than what you probably should have done when you actually look at it on paper, because you've not really dropped any consistency all year. You know, like you say, there was that little bit of a wobble after Christmas that made it look like, okay, potentially you were going to drop out of it again. But again, when you're looking back at that, it really wasn't as bad as what people feared, was it? Was that something you felt badly at the time, like you were going to throw away and bottle this title at any moment?
It was something we were worried about considering the amount of injuries we've had this season, which are generally just quite unlucky. Most of them have been on-field injuries that have happened during games of players. I think a big reason for us managing to carry on and keep the consistency is the fact that Rich Hughes, our sporting director, under ahead of John Messinio, went out and signed some really good players in January. You know, you look at the likes of Joe Morrell being out injured, for instance, in the centre midfield. We had Tom Lowry out injured as well in centre midfield. And at that point, just before Joe went down, they went out and bought Owen Moxon and paid a decent transfer fee from him, from Carlisle. And he's come in and started most of the games then and anchored the midfield with Marlon Pack. The same situation happened with Alex Robertson, who was on loan from Man City for us. He then was out injured. So we went and bought Callum Lang from Wigan. Again, he slotted in. He scored immediately pretty much and was a big reason as well in that sort of front three behind Colby Bishop or Kasingi Yengi. They just allowed us to have that quality. So I think a lot of it was not just the fact of the system was good, it was next man up, but the board actually invested enough money into these sort of like new players to keep the machine going, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it shows both on paper and from watching you guys that you've never really had that let up. And it's, like I say, it's actually sort of notwithstanding quite a long injury list at times, especially again sort of going into that January transfer window where it looked like it could end up all falling apart very quickly for you guys. But look, your recent form, let's take a little look at that then going into this game, because it's really difficult, first of all, to preview this match on Saturday from an objective point, because it's something I kind of want to do on these preview shows, is try and look at the stats and try and just be a lot more objective about games. But there's no objectivity going into Saturday. And to be fair, you guys might feel the same. And I feel like it's really, really difficult to preview. But again, if we are looking at your recent form, it's been unbelievably strong. Again, I'm going to just exclude Saturday for the moment. I mean, before Saturday, you were on, I think you kept ahead of Lincoln by like 1 in terms of an unbeaten streak throughout the whole time. So you last lost on the 13th of January, which is the same day that we started our unbeaten run, actually, before obviously losing to Wigan the other week, which obviously they took away your unbeaten streak as well. I mean, again, what were kind of the key components of that massive long title running in the end, that this massive long recent form that's been so strong for you? What were the key components of that?
We just got the ability to play different ways, I suppose. If teams try and press us high, because we like to play the ball at the back, we like to play the ball through midfield, we like to play short passes and play through. But John Messinio's come out and said, that's not working. We've got the ability to play it even long into sort of Christian Sadie. If he comes on in the 10 position, Bishop can get the ball and hold it up for us there as well. And we just find ways of passing it through, not necessarily just sort of small build up. And I think that's helped us beat teams down. And again, it's just that mentality, going away to Peterborough, getting that goal, winning 1-0, managing to come back against Derby. It's just these sort of things. It's just these sort of big game moments where the team have really countered and found a way to score. So it's not some sort of magical, tactical, this is the reason why, this is how we overwhelm teams. We've not won the league in a way that Ipswich have, maybe with like overwhelming attacking talent, but we've got some really good players up front, out wide. So I don't know if you want me to go into the squad in that sense now, but you look at, so you look at the likes of Kamara, who's been on loan from Norwich. I think he's 20. I'm not sure he's turned 21 yet. He's going to be an outstanding Premier League player at some point. He's going to go back to Norwich. I think Rowe plays for them at right wing now, but I expect him to slot in for them now at right wing if he goes. So he's absolutely outstanding. One-on-one, he's amazing. He's quick. He can run as fast with the ball as he can without it. He can come inside and shoot. He can cross the ball. And then on the other side, you've got Paddy Lane. Again, I think he's got 10 goals for us this season. I think Kamara's got 10 assists. and a handful of match-winning goals as well. So you've got those players behind Bishop or Yengi, who I'll get onto in a second, and then you've got the likes of Lang in the middle, playing in the sort of in the half space. So they all sort of drift out wide. They will change if it's not working with one fullback. They'll happily swap wings, and that fluidity on top of that sort of defensive sort of base, I suppose you could say, that we've got, and the ability to control the midfield means that we're quite a dangerous team to mark. Good on the break, good with the ball. I think that's probably the way of saying it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, and if it's worked for you so far, then obviously it's been brilliant for you all season. And having that tactic set up, and being able to kind of have that fluidity sometimes as well is really important, and it's very much showed all year, if you like. So let's talk about Saturday, because I've kind of said, I've asked a few questions where I've kind of said exclude Saturday against Wigan. What was it about that game against Wigan? Was it like most people maybe predicted beforehand or said when they were looking down at their phones? I mean, I said it many times. Well, Portsmouth are on the beach. They've won the title. They're probably not too bothered. They probably haven't quite trained as much going into the game and all of this. Did it look like that? Did it look like the players were tiring out towards the end, or the total opposite?
I mean, as I mentioned earlier on, they were out with the fans until 2:30 in the morning having fun, as they should be, and then probably went on after that. And then on Wednesday, they had their dinner, their sort of boozy awards dinner, and they were at the pub before that. So it's probably not surprising that they're a little bit laggy come Saturday. And to be honest, Mousinho tried to motivate them. He was like, yeah, let's try and get 100 points. Wouldn't that be great? And that kind of thing. And that didn't really make much difference. We did get quite a few chances in that game. They were all sort of a lot of half chances. We gave up way too much space on our left-hand side. So Wigan were able to penetrate us on the right. They managed to cut in the middle. We were slower to second balls. It was just a case that Wigan came against us as well and just were the better team, full stop. And to be fair to Wigan, I mean, they did the same to you away at yours. And they are only good away at teams who are in the top 10, it seems. So they can't beat teams. I don't think their record against the lower teams is pretty naff. So they're a good team, and we were off the ball. That's pretty much what it was. There's no sort of real magic formula. The team looked leggy. We tried to change our wingers up at half time. We took both of them off. It was one of those games where we were never up for it, and Wigan just played with some style and ended up winning the game.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's fair enough. I mean, Wigan are a really, really strong side. If they, without the points deduction, they'd be up in and around the playoff fight. They would technically be like 5-6 points behind us at the minute without that points deduction. But then you'd also bear in mind that they had a bit of a run only a few weeks back where they weren't picking up too many points, and you could potentially argue that's because they were on the beach and they wouldn't have played like that if they would get in the playoff fight and all of this sort of thing. So they are a really, really strong side, and that's the thing. They can go away to teams that very much do that. I would probably suggest that from the outside looking in that maybe you wouldn't have lost that game if it wasn't for the fact that you had maybe celebrated quite hard during the week. But again, it's not really like anybody would have minded too much. And then looking ahead then towards Saturday, obviously we've spoken about Wigan and the way that you sort of played in that game, potentially showing a little bit of a slight hangover. What do you think the team's going to look like on Saturday? Is there a chance of maybe a slightly weaker squad being fielded?
Yeah, there is actually. Andrew Moon came out today and reported this, and I just noted it down. So I'm just going to scroll to my phone. But he basically noted the fact that, and just people who don't know, Andrew Moon is the sort of main reporter for Portsmouth. He's the BBC South guy as well as the same guy who covers the commentary for us. And he said, Pompey head coach John Mousinho says that now Tom Lowry, Ben Stevenson and Terry Devlin all trained today and could be ready for Saturday against Lincoln. Now, just for retrospect, they're three of our sort of on the bench midfielders who play in the centre. Tom Lowry's very good on the ball, just very injury prone. Ben Stevenson, very TikTok sort of player. And Terry Devlin, I'm not sure he's turned 20 yet, but he's a young Irish player, very much in the same mould as what you guys have brought over as well from the Irish League. So there is a potential that we just go, hey, look, let's give the boys a game who haven't played a lot. But there is a potential of that. I don't think we're going to go full Peterborough and, start putting on our young sort of 17-year-old wingers. We've got a guy called Kobe Motta. If he starts, then great for him. I mean, he's a great player, great talent. But at the same time, that really does show what sort of team we're putting out. So if Kobe's on the team, then you can see what we're going to do. But I think it's a situation where there's two things that are going to happen. The team have already lifted the trophy. We lifted it at Fratton Park. So we've also had the parade on Sunday. So the day after Lincoln, The guys are going to be on the common, open bus, trophy, everyone dancing around them, celebrating. So there's one school of thought that thinks, okay, we play the other guys, we just see it out. We don't really care to a certain level. However, the other way around of thinking is John Messina is not a man who really likes sort of ill discipline, shall we say, which has been shown throughout the whole season. He might turn around and go, look, boys, you're a little bit leggy against Wigan. I'll allow that considering what's happened, but you better turn around and finish the season with a good result away at Lincoln, because you can't just roll over and think you score just because the fans throw a beach ball into the net. That one doesn't actually count, all right? No matter how much you might be saying. It should count, I agree. But Messina might look at the guys and say, look, come on, we need to be better than this. I think has a lot of faith in whoever he puts out there. I've got a feeling it's going to be a bit of both, somewhere in the middle of that. The manager going, come on, lads, da-da-da. And the boys thinking, all right, Gaffer, but I am going to be standing on open-top bus spraying champagne all over myself tomorrow. So I think you'll find a competitive team who'll try, but I don't think it's the same team you would have seen 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, look, there's no team is going to be unprofessional in the sense that they're going to just not really give up, a good amount of effort, regardless whether they are, if they are picked. And in itself, it's not going to be an easy game by any stretch. I think, to be fair, a little bit like you were saying there, maybe wanting a little bit of a sort of a comeback, if you like, after that Wigan game is probably going to have hurt us that Wigan beat you in that sense. It probably would have been better for you to have maybe got a result in that. So apart from the fact I definitely didn't want you to win, because if you won, then 100 points were still on offer and maybe the lads could have fought for that. So that would have been a little bit of a worry. But like you say, obviously you don't want to be a Peterborough because you're probably a little bit scared of rule 25.1. You won't want a points deduction for playing half a squad and not fielding your full strength squad.
You can imagine that, right? It would be a very Pompey thing to happen. But I think it's more not going to be about us. It's going to be about how you play. I think Lincoln fans can speculate about how Pompey play. And I think it's actually more going to be a tactical matchup of two teams on paper and how you guys can rise to the occasion. We're going to play our best. We're going to do it. We're going to do all this kind of stuff. But we spoke about. However, it's going to be about, do Lincoln have that another gear left now? You've gone on this run. You've put all the hard work in. It's now in your hands. You talked earlier on about Pompey bottling promotion. Did we ever think about that? Are you guys going to bottle this now? It's in your hands, or are you ready just to take this one against a team who already lost 2-1 on Saturday? You can just win it now, can't you? Get in the playoffs, beat Bolton, and you're up.
Hopefully. Well, let's look at it like that then. So let's just look at it and forget the outside noise for a minute. Two teams. It is going to be a bit of a tactical matchup again. So how are we expecting you to line up in terms of shape? And then what kind of areas are you maybe looking to utilise more than others? Like I say, I know that maybe it's a little bit more difficult because you are willing to change reasonably often, be a bit more pragmatic. But how do you maybe expect yourselves to be lining up?
So from my perspective of you guys, you're not too much of a consuming ball possession team, even at home. So in this game, we're going to line up in our traditional formation, which is a 4-2-3-1. At the centre back, you can have Connor Shaughnessy, who I mentioned earlier on, who scored that goal, partnered with Sean Raggett in the centre. Regan Paul is out for the season at centre back, as well as Tom McIntyre, who played 60 minutes. So that was an expensive per minute signing. And then at left back, you'll most likely see Conor Ogilvie play with Joe Rafferty at right back. However, we can play Sparks at left back, who, if he does play, will be much more of an attacking player. He's much more of a wing back, really. You're probably likely to see him come on later in the game if we're losing and want to go and get a goal, because he pushes up and doesn't quite have the same defensive solidarity at the back there. And then you've got Rafferty on the right. And just from how we work here really is, in possession, it almost becomes a back three. Ogilvie will push further forward. He'll join the front line to create almost a 5 across the front. And then you basically have a 2 in midfield. So you'll see later on, if we manage to get into your half and set up, that the left back sort of will go further forward and he'll create the overlap, because basically Lang, Kamara and the Lane, etc., are all kind of inside forwards. They're not traditional out and out wingers. They're players that want to cut inside. They want to shoot. They want to play little 1-2s together. So because of that, our fullbacks give us a bit more width there. And with Ogilvie pushing up further forward, that allows, say, Lane or whoever, and everyone to shift over a little bit. which allows everyone to be a bit more narrow. In the centre, you've got Marlon Pack, captain. He's the player who likes to come deep. He'll get the ball. He likes to sort of bring the ball out. He'll play long passes if needed. He'll spread the ball wide. He'll try and hit the wingers directly at Kamara and Lang if they are further out, and try and play it into play. Owen Moxon is much more box to box, so he'll come back hard tackling, but he also can get forwards, shoot and support the attack. So as a team, we'll try and play the ball out the back, and we'll try and play it out in sort of little triangles out. If that isn't possible, you'll see us go a little bit longer. If it's not working, if you press us too high, and we'll look to whoever's in the middle, Bishop, Sadie, and then you've got Yengi who can come on, and he's much more of a in behind your defender's attacking threat, much more quicker. He'll stretch people, run the channels, and he's good. He also got a good shot. I mean, his goals per 90 ratio is the highest in the EFL, I believe, in the Premier League, better than Haaland's. And he's just earned a couple of caps and scored the first goal for Australia. So as a team, that's how we'll sort of try and play, and we won't get around that. We will play whichever way of that works, if that makes sense, whichever different variant.
So one of the key kind of aspects of our side, our kind of tactical setup, especially in this recent run, is a kind of high press. Obviously, it'll depend on the triggers. We have different triggers, obviously, when we're facing different sides. But if you're a side that are maybe going to want to try and play out the back in smaller triangles, then it would be reasonable enough to suggest to expect quite a high press that will try and be at you, especially with the likes of Ben House. I mean, his off-the-ball work for me is one of, if not the greatest in the division. So that's something that we could really see on Saturday. Does that worry you then, or do you think you'll just be able to switch it up and it might not be your plan A, but you'll quite easily be able to have a different kind of system that will kind of go against it and it not face kind of too much adversity in that?
No, if teams come and press us and win the ball back and stop us playing, it can frustrate us, and that can lead to the fact that we struggle to set up, struggle to play our game and stuff, and then we end up hitting it a bit long. Teams have done it to us. Blackpool are a team that do it to us quite effectively. Leyton Orient have come and done it against us quite effectively as well. And they're also a team that likes to get their foot on the ball, pass quickly, etc. There is some space sometimes in behind the defence in the midfield. If you can get in that pocket, that's a good space to be for against us. And that's the kind of position I would have thought Rico would have played in if he was actually not well. Sorry, if he was fit. Yeah. I was looking at this quote here from Mousinho, and he said, in terms of our playing style, we're a side who build from the back. We try and play through midfield, but when sides have pressed us and pressed us well, we'll try and play when the opportunity is there. Times you have to bypass a press. So I think from a level of that, it's more just we'll do it, but if it's not working, we'll mix it up.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I have a feeling that you're going to have a really effective second half of the first half, because typically we press high, we press strong, we have quick intensity for the first half of the first half. Then we just kind of ease off a little bit in the second half of the first half, just kind of maybe conserve a little bit of energy, maybe allow the opposition to have a little bit more of a foothold in the game. We'll maybe go long and try a couple of different things. So I wonder if the first half is going to be one of those where it's two totally separate halves, which could be really interesting.
There's not many games where Pompey have been dominant in the first 10, 15 minutes. We're very much a chess side. We work teams out as we go along. Often Mousinho will make adjustments a little bit, or we'll get back out there in the second half and we've sussed teams out a little bit, sussed how they press, worked out to play through them. So if we can get through the first half, not conceding, for instance, and you've spent a lot of your energy pressing us, then that will be beneficial to us. If you can capitalize on that early on, then, I mean, that's an obvious cliche, but for us, it is a big deal because we then have to come out and try and play a lot more direct, and we'll start playing the ball up forward quicker and try and chase that goal. So I think from looking at how you play, you just want to get on us, stop us playing. If you can sort of get in there, I'm looking at your midfield and thinking, Danny Mandrew scores goals, assists. Don't know how hard tackler he is. Are you playing?
Two red cards for the season, probably.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out because you're very defensively solid, aren't you? You've got O'Connor in the centre. He's like a heading machine. So I imagine Bishop would find it quite difficult against him. I sort of feel that Yengi might have more luck against a back three there because he's a lot quicker. He can skip past someone, knock it through. Yeah,
although we will, and if that were to happen, I think we'd probably end up having Alex Mitchell put on him because Alex Mitchell is deceivably
He'll
quick.
just change sides,
He's
though.
a
That won't work.
well.
He'll just run at the other side of you because he's two-footed. So yeah.
Just hope that Sean Rowan could do that.
Yeah. But I would say though, from looking at you, you're a solid team. You're hard to break down, and you've got goals in you now. Suddenly, Joe Taylor is now a striker. So yeah, from my perspective, I think you might have a little bit of luck with Lassie Sorensen down the right-hand side. Conor Ogilvie didn't have a good game in the last one, and even though he's very, very good usually, he let a few chances up for Wigan. Sparks is defensively suspect if he plays there. I like Sorensen. I think he could probably get round them, get in behind them, and that might be where you can find a bit of joy.
Well, especially if Ogilvie very much comes into attack and we can get a quick break counter attack, because that's the sort of thing that Sorensen can do. He can just absolutely leg it from one box basically to the other very, very quickly, and that's both with the ball and without the ball, kind of waiting for a through ball to come in. So hopefully that's an area of the pitch then where we can sort of capitalise against obviously what is going to be, regardless of anything else, a very, very strong Portsmouth side. But I would probably agree with you. Look, we've got to probably focus on ourselves. And looking ahead, let's just have a very quick talk about then the playoffs and the permutations and predictions for Saturday and all of this. Because obviously, as it stands, Barnsley are in 5th with 75 points. We're in 6th with 74. Oxford are in 7th with 74. Blackpool are in 8th with 73. Now, first of all, who would you like to see get into the playoffs out of those 4 teams? Which 2 sides would you like to see get in? And then who would you like to come up to the Championship with you?
So I'm a little bit biased because I kind of have a soft spot for Barnsley. Okay. Because a lot of my work colleagues, including a few Spanish lads, supported Barnsley. So I actually went to the playoff final and saw them lose to Sheffield Wednesday last year. I mean, it's a bit of a laugh. I predict their scores every week. So I think just from a personal basis, I would like it just for the chaos as well, because their fans are exploding about how shit they're playing at the moment. So I'm there for that. I'm there for Barnsley to make it in. I don't really care for Oxford at all. I would like to see them not qualify. I like Blackpool. They're all right if they can qualify. Again, anyone but Bolton to win the playoffs, please. And I know some really nice lads, and the Trotter Chatter podcast guys are really sound as well. And shout out the guys I spoke to on the train from Manchester when I was half cut. They're all really nice Bolton fans. But just for the online banter, anyone but Bolton. Yeah. Peterborough are always strong, aren't they? They're always strong. And Darren Ferguson's already decided that bizarre decision to not go for the autos and just rest your team for the playoffs when you can still go up. Even I know it's unlikely that Carlisle will go there.
Even then, they would have needed a 9-goal swing anyway, wouldn't they? But then that's the sort of thing that Peterborough could do. So it confused me, actually.
The Bristol Rovers getting promoted out of League Two vibes is what I was thinking.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Although Peterborough unfortunately don't play Scunthorpe on the last game of the season as much as they'd probably like to. Then in that sense.
Yeah, true. So, from my perspective, I'd like to see Barnsley go up. I don't see it happening. They played really well against us and then have just blown up again. So I'm not even sure they're going to qualify, to be honest, for the playoffs. So we'll wait and see. But it's touch and go, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it really, really is. And obviously, it also depends what happens with the managerial situation there as well, which is another big question mark. But look, we're in that position unless Oxford manage to absolutely destroy their opponents on the weekend. A win secures us playoffs, and that's what we're going to need. I don't want to be looking down at my phone throughout the whole game, checking the Blackpool score, checking the Oxford score, checking the Barnsley score. Really cannot have that. It's going to be nervy enough as it is. So let's just say then predictions for Saturday. I think I want a 2-pronged prediction from you then, Hugh. First of all, score prediction and how the game's going to play out, maybe. But then also, are we going to make it into that top 6?
Okay, so let me just predict the game whilst I bring up the league table as well. It's just for people watching or listening, we didn't prep this idea. So I'm just going to have a quick look. And I'm going to say the score of the weekend is going to be a 1-1 draw, is what I'm predicting. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think we're going to try and go back to basics. And I think we're going to get a goal from Kamara from the right-hand side, for Pompey and Joe Taylor for Lincoln. I think it's going to be a late 87th minute equaliser for Pompey. And I think in the games coming up, if you want me to go through that very quickly, you've got. So who are Oxford playing? You'll probably know this better than me because I've been on the beach for ages.
Right, so Barnsley, who are in 5th, they're at home to Northampton.
So I think they'll win that game.
Okay, so you've then
will.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you've got Oxford in 7th. They are away at Exeter. Unbeaten in 9 for Exeter.
I think that's going to be a really bizarre 2-2 draw. So I think you'll get in on goal difference. Is that right?
I'm more than happy with that. That would be correct.
Yes.
Provided, but then Blackpool away at Reading as well. Because they could go above us if we only draw and they win.
That's difficult then, isn't it? Since I'm on your podcast, I'm going to say Reading to win 2-1. There we go.
Right. Hey, I am more than happy to agree with you on that.
Yeah, we'll stick with that.
For the record, I'm not going to play that game. I've totally thrown you on the bus there, to be fair, Hugh, but I'm not going to play that game.
You're not going to? I thought that's what you were asking me to do. I was just joining in.
I know. No.
Current squash.
I don't dare. I absolutely don't dare. I cannot wait for Saturday, but I am absolutely bricking it for Saturday. No matter what happens on the pitch, it's going to be a fantastic day. End of a season awards at the end of the game being passed to the players on the pitch. There's the potential for there to be something really special. And for all the Pompey fans travelling up as well, I think there's going to be a good few that are coming up even just to the
1,000 odd, because you only gave us like 1,100 tickets, which I completely understand, by the way, to anyone out there. I mean, we did the same to Derby and just took half the stand. I think any sane home club who are trying to get a playoff position, like, why would you give away fans more tickets? You know, it's bizarre.
I'd never quite understood the outrage at that one. I've got to be honest. I mean, if we were mid-table and not going to sell out, then fair enough. Yeah. But I never quite understood it.
It's our outrage, mate. It's because people are just pissed off generally about tickets, and it's to do with our loyalty point system. Who can get tickets? Who can't? It's that every club has it, sort of. You know, thing. It's not to do with you.
No, that's the thing. There's never a right way to do that, to be fair. So, I understand it from all points of view. But look, if you are travelling up to Lincoln at the weekend as a Pompey fan, enjoy. Lincoln fans who are obviously going to be at the game, whether you're travelling from afar as well, have a great day on Saturday. Have a great weekend, staying up for the weekend. It is going to be a fantastic event of a day. I just really, really hope it ends with us being in the top 6. Hugh, thank you so much for joining me. Congratulations on the title win. Good luck in the championship next season, mate.
Thank you. And I will say good luck for Saturday, because I actually don't care what the result is for once. So usually I'd be like, good luck after the weekend, but good luck for Saturday. I really don't care if we lose or win. So there you go.
Brilliant. Well, there you go. You heard it here first. That means a 6-0 win to us, and Hugh's still going to be smiling at the end of it. Works for me. Perfect. Thank you so much, Hugh. Up the Imps.